because we recognize that gender stereotypes and gender discrimination doesn't start on the labor market. It starts much earlier. So especially in Mongolia's two key subsectors that we're working with, wool and cashmere is dominated mostly by women, and the residential construction is dominated mostly by men. So when we identify these barriers to entry, we realize that we can start in the classroom. And there are many projects working with primary schools, with secondary schools, and what Uniterra Mongolia does is we're now focusing more on that technical and vocational sector. So we talked with the VETP, the Vocational and Education Training Partnership, and they provided us with a project officer to work as a partner with us and to implement this project. So it was a Mongolian and a Canadian partnership, which we value very much.
We connected to Tibet directors or management through ministry or through our colleagues. So I cannot say that they were happy when they first time heard about that project. For example, one of the director, men, he said, actually in Mongolia there is not so many problems related to gender, but after we implement and they see the process and the results, they realize that it's very important.
Сонирхолтой зүйл нь гэвэл мэдээж гендрийн нэг эрх тэгш байдлуудыг шинээр мэдж авсан.
So the way that the GATT works is it's using WUSC Theatre of the Oppressed. We don't want to come in with a PowerPoint and just talk to a room full of students and teachers. Everybody will nod and it will be great, I'm sure. But it's also going to go through one ear and out the other. And so we wanted to create a more interactive experience. And also, we didn't want to come up with the problems and solutions. It's much more effective for students and teachers to analyze themselves. What is it like in my classroom? And what is it like to be the only woman in a construction or bricklayering class? What is it like to be the only man in a sewing class? And we've met these students. And we did a lot of focus groups to try to understand that and to recreate scenarios. But ultimately, it's when the students and teachers created their own scenarios through art, through plays, that they actually were able to start that conversation.
The trainers, we have so active and good trainers who are from Movie Art Institution of Mongolia. So I think during the training, during the workshop, during the project, they felt that they are in a very important role to change teachers and students' mindset in positive way. For me, as organizer and partner of the Uniterra project, I highlight that the method of that project. It was very interesting because maybe in Mongolia, mostly when the workshop workshop is organizing, people, mostly the teacher is in front of the others and they start to speak. But for this project, when we organize workshop, there was no participants, there was no teachers. All of them are the organizers, or have to say, all of them were participants, very active. Every participants of the workshop, even students, even teachers, they highlighted that method.
So when the teachers and the students got together, they actually realized that they actually had a lot of work to do together.
Actually, most of them, they didn't have idea about what they should talk about, what they should see from which side. But after the beginning, they realized that the main concept, they understand the main concept, and they started their daily many cases which always happen in their daily school life.
So it created much deeper conversation because they'd already had time to reflect on what it's like to be a student in a classroom, what it's like to be a teacher, and then to have that conversation afterwards. And so they created these plays in that little bubble, and then presented it a few weeks or months later to their school, to other students, to keep the conversation going.
The GATT was very important, especially in TVET sector, because I know that in many universities there are some gender-related activities. Students understand what is that topic, but in TVET sector it's not so popular. So I'm happy that for the next phase.
The GATT project had, the main impact that it had was starting this conversation. In the 5 TVETs, we spoke to management. They recognized that these types of plays and this type of conversation was very important, and that they'd had a positive experience through it. So that for us for a pilot project is a very good first step. And one student even said that their teacher even mentioned one day, asked boys and girls to clean up the classroom. And she said that the teacher used the word gender and said that we're all equal and men and women should both clean up the classroom. So that was a beautiful interview that we did, where we realized that actually teachers are using small day-to-day tools to change gender discrimination. It starts with them, it starts with their students.